All right. So, we have not talked about this game in a while. We saw this game when it came out on the PlayStation showcase just a few months ago. Concord. This was the game that looked like with the animation at the beginning, the trailer, it looked like it was going to be like, Guardians of the Galaxy or something really cool. And it ended up just being another like hero shooter like Overwatch, basically like a worse Overwatch clone. So we were disappointed. Pretty much the entire gaming world was disappointed. We all watched the trailer and we're like, yo, this looks great. And then the gameplay came out and we're like, oh God, what are they doing? Not another one of these. And, but, Sony has got the Sony and they really want to get into that market of Overwatch and, all these other kind of arena shooter type of, hero shooter type of games. To make that lovely, lovely games as a service, live service money. But regardless of all of our pre-existing thoughts, the beta for Concord came out, and it looks not the best. So let's see what happens. We love Bellular. We've covered a lot of news from Bellular. I haven't actually seen much news from Bellular specifically recently. So we're gonna check out this lovely Bellular video and see what is going on. Concord apparently needs a reality check. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see what's going on.
Acquisition and also games like Helldivers 2. So, for Sony, this is a pretty damn important thing.
It is.
The problem, though, is...
And also, Sony's been trying to get live service games to work for, like, what is it, like 7 years? They licensed, like, literally, what is it, 8 live service games in the past, like, 15 months. And they were trying to, put a lot of effort and hundreds of millions of dollars into each of them. And I want everyone to keep in mind, when we look at these numbers and everything with this game, Concord, keep in mind, guys, Concord, in terms of the quality of the trailer, in terms of the size of the team and everything, we don't have exact numbers for how much money is put into Concord. But I can tell you my estimation for my eye, and I know games like these, and I know, the amount of money it takes for operating a game like this and so on. It's like probably in the market of $150 million. So whenever we see the game numbers of like the people playing the beta and so on and so forth, keep in mind, this is $150 million going into the development of this game. Just like a lot of these other games. Absolutely, absolutely.
Looked at it whenever the trailers came out, and they essentially thought, what? Another hero shooter in 2024? We don't really need this.
Right,
also,
we don't really need
this.
this.
It look like Overwatch Guardians.
And also, it has to be like, in order for a hero shooter to succeed right now, guys, it has to be like markedly better than Overwatch. It has to be markedly better than Valorant. It has to be better than these things to really stand out. Otherwise, what's the point? Because you're already, being a Sony game, cutting yourself off from, it will release on PC, but it's going to have, the entire PSN debacle bullshit, which a lot of us gamers don't want to deal with. So it'll cut into people playing it on PC already. And then beyond that, you're cutting out all Xbox players as well. So you're going to have to succeed walking uphill, straight up.
Of the galaxy. So it very much was not the sort of reveal that they would have wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And also, it's so sad because I keep pausing it. I'm so sorry, Bellular. But the trailer was so good. Like, the trailer felt like it was going to be like a heist game where you have like a team of heroes and you're like maybe swapping in between them using their special powers to like do a cool looking heist. And it ended up being none of the above. None of the above.
You could say the thing that could turn that around is players actually getting hands-on time playing the game, and that has just happened with the closed beta for this game. Problem is, like Helldivers, this is coming out on both PC and PlayStation, and that means that the PC version, which is on Steam, has got trackable player numbers.
Yes, we don't... Oh my... Wait, what? Wait. 15? Okay, I knew the numbers were bad. Because I didn't play it, and I don't want to play, a game that's just not going to be played, or just a complete waste of my time, and so on and so forth. But man, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, guys. Holy smokes. 15 players in the beta. that means every single match will take like 20 minutes to make, and it's always just going to be the same exact people playing the match no matter what. Yeah, this is worse than I thought, man. Like, I was expecting like 1,000 or something, but I guess that was peak. Oh my lord. This is, oh god.
Very, very, very small, and that has got people spooked.
Yeah, let's see why.
So spooked that they're now saying this game needs to go free to play, or else it's basically dead in the water.
Yeah,
because that's the thing.
Right now, the game costs $40 in order to play. It's not like Valorant. Valorant is free to play. It's not like Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is now free to play. This game, in order to play it, costs $40. The first beta you could only get into with a buy-in of $40. You had to buy the game first before you could join the beta on PlayStation. But the second beta is completely open beta, as in completely free. Anyone could join it, whatever. So that there's no price tag to that one, which is why everyone's covering the numbers for this current beta that's going on right now.
It's not free to play. It's following Helldivers 2 in terms of launch format and price.
Right.
And if you think about it, the devs are saying that the only monetization after the fact is going to be cosmetics. That basically has it being the same as Overwatch 1.
Right.
Which came out, it was $40, and as we know, it was
Overwatch 1 and Valorant.
Dastardly loot boxes. The odd thing, though, is 2016 was just a bloodbath for games, and not that many successful games would come out at similar price points that we're going for.
I think, I don't know if he's going to get into this, but a lot of people are talking about the looks of the characters. And while I'm like not on the boat of a character has to be like super sexual or whatever in order for a game to succeed, I don't really believe that. We have played plenty of games that are like, you know, fucking 16-bit. And there's no ass to be seen in those games, right? And those can be plenty successful. But what I will say is that what kept Overwatch afloat is straight up Rule 34 Overwatch. I'm not even kidding. People think I'm joking when I say this, and they're like, haha, Corgi, that's so funny. I'm not kidding, man. Overwatch would have been dead years ago if it wasn't for Overwatch porn. And that is a fact. That is an absolute fact. It's not something I care about, but the fact that it's so popular and people who don't even know the game know about Overwatch porn just shows just how ubiquitous Overwatch porn is. And so for a game like this, where it's already starting to run from uphill and everything like that, you know, at that point, the looks of the characters really do matter a bit. And it's same with Valorant. Valorant is held up by Valorant porn and eat-aters, mostly. And very much a lot of eat-aters. Like, they have skins directly for eat-ating. And Overwatch jumped on that train as well. You only want it for the articles, Plasma. Well, that, hey, I mean, it's not a popular take, Lana, but I will always tell you how it is. And this is how it is. Like, if you ask any Overwatch player anything about what they like, you'll quickly realize they're the ones who partake in this. And that is why they play the game. They play Mercy because they're imagining Mercy's ass. They play Tracer for the same reason. And it's like, you know, the characters really lend into it as well. Like, it's very beautiful characters on purpose. And it does make a difference for this type of game, for sure. What a time to tune in. Hey, look, it's true, though. It's true.
The PvP.
Why you booed me? I'm right.
Here also had the likes of Titanfall 1, Battlefield 1, and Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers very much existing in the same category as Battleborn. Dead game. Then
dead game, exactly. So with a hero shooter game like Concord, in order to make it succeed, you have to either do one of, I think, like 3 things. You either have to have fantastic monetization, as in like extremely cheap, very easy to play, very small barriers of entry, and everyone can play it. C, X-Defiant in this example. Even though it's Ubisoft, even though it's all that stuff, it is at least easy to play. And very, very free, and actually rather fun. The gameplay is damn decent for being completely free. Or you have to go the Overwatch route, where your characters are just super giga sexified. And in that case, they're like beautiful characters. It has like, it draws you in with like, you know, vibrant story, big animations, blah blah blah. But you have to have like a fantastic fan base that will go ravenous for any skin that comes out for any character because they want to make porn with that character. And I mean, it's just straight up true. That is exactly what it is. Or you have to have like some kind of unique gameplay that will really, really hook people. And I don't mean like decent gameplay. I mean like crazy good, breaking the mold gameplay. And if you have only one of the three, you will probably not succeed as a hero shooter. You have to have probably at least two out of the three, if not all three. And that is the only way to do it. That is the only real way to make one of these live service hero shooter games like this to truly, truly succeed. Last epoch at the moment. Oh, you mean Once Human? Yeah, I've not played Once Human more than since the beta. I will play it because now it's in like, you know, the open beta release or whatever, and we will cover some news about it as well. I've not played it super recently, but I did play it last time, I think a couple of weeks ago, Watermelon. I actually really liked it. I think the gameplay for Once Human is really, really, really fun. So yeah,
a little game called Fortnite Save the World where you'd fight zombies and build shit. Thing is, they took a look at PUBG, thought, oh shit, we'll have some of that.
And you have to iterate. He's absolutely right, because like Fortnite started out as a zombie survival game, and it wasn't very popular at all. It was basically a failing game. Then, like Bellular is saying, they basically cheated off of PUBG, brought the Battle Royale formula over to their, you know, goofy graphics of Fortnite, and hit the little kid market like crazy, the Zoomer market, and it went hard. And they kept iterating. Every single time Fortnite has failed, Epic Games has put an incredible amount of work to bring collaborations, to iterate on the gameplay, to try different gaming versions, and so on and so forth. And they put like millions and millions and millions of dollars of effort and money directly into continuously changing and iterating the game, keeping it fresh, and bringing people back in over and over again. I don't play Fortnite. I don't like Fortnite. I don't like battle royales. But there is no doubt in my mind how much effort the Fortnite team puts into making their game super playable, and that is why the game is a success. It is because they put in the Fortnite work to get the Fortnite bucks. A lot of gamers right now, game makers right now are trying to make hero shooters and so on without putting that Fortnite level of effort while they're trying to still get the Fortnite level of bucks. We've seen this with so many live service games, and guess what? They've all failed. So that's my little iteration on this.
Happened. It was an absolutely humongous success. Yeah. And it was, of course, a free-to-play game that was supported.
Fortnite's been in existence for 15 years.
In that span of time, we have seen other games essentially try to do the exact same thing that Overwatch 1 did. As an example, Rocket Arena, Knockout City, and Bleeding Edge. All examples of that business model that completely just failed and exploded. Now, we've also seen some free-to-play games that tried to rip out the free...
Watermelon says Fortnite team made 2 free characters and their market blew up by more than 7%. Just saying. Hey, look, you gotta cater to what will work. And I mean, I know when they made the Black Widow, I think, was it Black Widow? They sold like millions of dollars of people buying the Black Widow skin so they could stare at Black Widow's ass. Same thing with Dead by Daylight. One thing Dead by Daylight does really well, and I don't like Dead by Daylight by really any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes I'll tolerate playing it, and sometimes chat really wants me to play it, so I'll play it for that reason. And we'll have fun with it. I'll still make it fun. But the community's dog shit. But even Dead by Daylight does a lot of effort on collaborations. They just put Tomb Raider in it, for example. They just had a D&D thing where I had to buy the D&D thing because I'm a D&D shill. I play D&D a lot of Wednesday nights right here on the channel. I've been playing campaigns for the past like 5 years since COVID started. I love Dungeons and Dragons. So when they made the Dungeons and Dragons DLC, even though I don't even like Dead by Daylight, I had to get that DLC. This is what it does. This is how they get people back in the game. Like, it takes a lot of effort to do those things. Now, I wish Dead by Daylight's team did more effort into the other things that make a good game, because then I'd play it more. But at least they do that part well to bring new characters into the game. And I mean, like, I know that's like a funny point Watermelon was trying to make, but there was definitely nuggets of truth in that as well. So I wanted to bring that up for sure. And Cy Kadich, my friend, welcome. How you been? It's good to see you.
To play and basically go to a paid model. One of those is Gigantic Rampage Edition, which now, with Season 1 of Ranked about to launch, has got user reviews that are essentially
dead again
the game because the player numbers are low. That's because the network effect cuts both ways, and loss aversion is something that we are...
Exactly. If you have a live service game and you're down to this number, it's dead. Like, there's no coming back. Like, it's just straight up dead. Something killed the game. Either the gameplay was dog shit, either it didn't stand out enough, maybe the monetization was bad. It could be anything of like 100 different factors that can kill a game. Many things have to go right for a live service game to succeed, and many things cannot go wrong for a live service game to succeed. And if the balance is off in any way, shape, or form, that can by itself completely 100% kill the game. Absolutely.
Are all very, very, very aware of. My point there being, with loads of games, as more people buy that game, the value you get out of your purchase increases because there's more and more and more players, and that's what allows a game to snowball.
More players means more life means more content means you pay more. It's a cyclical thing.
Therefore, the game ends up in a negative death spiral, and you essentially have a Lawbreakers-like situation.
Yeah.
And in that
nothing succeeds like success, and nothing kills a game faster than apathy.
Context, we talk about the big new thing from PlayStation, Concord. It's coming out soon. It's going to be $40, and it's PlayStation's next
$40 is insane.
Grand live service strategy. There's just a little bit less.
I wouldn't buy this game for fucking $20. How they think that people will buy it for $40 is completely exactly why Sony is in such dire straits when it comes to live service games. They're completely out of touch with how this games as a service model works, and they're completely out of touch with a lot of what makes the game succeed in terms of non-single player games. I mean, they had the golden goose. They had the absolute golden goose, guys, with Helldivers 2. And they even managed to fuck that up. We had player counts of almost 1 million players at the peak, which was insane. It was way too much, and there was no way it could sustain that. But now we're down below 20, 30,000 on the regular. That level of fall off needs to be studied. It truly, truly does. And I've tried to study it. I've tried to, give you guys my ideas and so on and so forth. So definitely look for that video if you guys like that. Because I put a lot of detail into that, and we've had a lot of traction with the amount of I guess people watching that video and so on. But it's a damn good video, and there's a lot of detail that goes into that. And it's because I think that games as service models need to have, like I said, many things succeed and many things not go wrong. It's definitely a few different things, Watermelon. It's definitely a myriad of things. So, very much what I'm talking about was at its peak when Helldivers was having, banger update after banger update and, just doing really, really well. And it was like, starting to go down a little bit, but it was like at a solid, like 250,000 concurrent player mark when the Sony debacle, PSN debacle happened. Basically, Sony stated that they're going to make sure and make it a requirement for everyone, even though you could do it without a PlayStation account, totally fine. PlayStation Network account, totally fine for like the past 4 months. They decided all of a sudden, now you need to do it. And they cut off the game for like essentially over 1.5 million people around the world as well at the same time. Because only certain countries have access to PlayStation Network. 180 countries and regions do not have access to the PlayStation Network. So it basically cut off all the momentum and the legs of Helldivers 2 from under it. And not only that, when you have normal ebb and flow for live service games, you need things to draw players back in. And to draw new life, new players that have never played the game, that can get in the game, get into it, and, start their cycle of playing a live service game and, play for 100 hours, not get bored, blah, blah, blah. This is what they're trying to do. But if you cut your player base off from joining the game for literally 180 different countries and regions, you're not going to get enough new players to join the game. So those growth numbers will never, ever happen again. So it was all losses and no gains. essentially, is what happened, Watermelon. Now, I go into a lot more detail in the video, so I definitely highly recommend you check that out. But that's like a small, like, bit of what happened, for sure. There's other stuff that went into it, though, as well. Much, much more detail. And Stroomy, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
Ground that was initially planned to be. Because as you may remember, last year they made humongous sweeping cuts to loads of those projects and loads of their teams. From my personal read, it very much seems like Sony just kind of wanted one of everything in the live service realm.
Exactly.
Destiny for your PvE loot shooter. You've maybe got the Call of Duty project that they wanted to have to maybe fight Call of Duty. And of course here, the hero shooter. Now, it's all very familiar. 5v5 gameplay, 6 modes at launch.
And it's really funny because so many of these live service games find some way to fuck you as a player. There's so many of these games that truly, truly fuck you. And the ones that don't fuck you are the most successful live service games. It's almost like when us players play a game, we don't want to be fucked. It's truly mind-blowing stuff. Like, it's truly, truly mind-blowing stuff. You know, obviously, I'm being facetious, but game makers don't really realize this sometimes. Why is Fortnite so successful? It doesn't fuck its player base. It literally does not fuck its player base. It doesn't fuck anything up. And as a result, people play that in high numbers. Why do people play League of Legends? Because it fucks you, but generally it's like kind of like the balance team fucking you. And mostly that's it. There's no pay to win. There's no pay for power. There's nothing like that. And that's one reason. That is one reason. Watermelon, pure DEI or pure shit gameplay fucks people up. I mean, it's honestly very rarely both those things. It is much more often a game dev team screwing something up with monetization than anything else. Why is Destiny so ebb and flow, Watermelon? Because Destiny has some of the worst monetization you will ever find. The game makes up for it, and apparently, and I don't like the gameplay, but people who play Destiny love the gameplay. And so with Destiny, the gameplay for the people who play it is absolutely banger, and they're addicted to the game, even with some of the worst monetization. So, but it wins in spite of the monetization. The monetization for Destiny, by the way, one of the worst parts of it is sheer fucking FOMO. I haven't made a video about Destiny 2 yet, but I need to. Because one of the things that Destiny 2 does, worse than pretty much almost any other game that I've ever played in my life or seen in my life, is that it sunsets. It's called sunsetting. The previous content from like the previous seasons and previous expansions and stuff, you literally just don't play it anymore. It's completely out of touch. The gear's not worth it, and you know, everything like that. So there's just no reason to play any of those things anymore. World of Warcraft somehow turned this around a little bit to its advantage with like time walking and stuff, so you can still at least experience some of the previous expansions and at least somewhat be able to go through it, level up your low level characters in an alt format and so on and so forth. And that is like how they kind of made that work a little bit. Same problem with Dead by Daylight. Yeah, Dead by Daylight does a different thing. Dead by Daylight basically makes it almost mandatory to buy every new DLC, because every new DLC will have broken mechanics that will essentially give you free wins. That's the thing. Time walking really brought up the old content. Exactly, Watermelon. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, I shit on Blizzard on the regular when they do anything wrong, Watermelon, but I will definitely call a W. And while time walking has its issues, they do put a lot of effort to making old content more viable here and there, and try to make things more popular and so on and so forth. DVD is just skins? No. Wait, what? No. Polar Cat, no, brother. Dead by Daylight sells characters and sells killers and sells survivors, each with their own perks and own abilities and so on and so forth. And a lot of times, what they'll do is have the game in like a terrible balance state. I made an entire huge video on how Dead by Daylight is the worst balanced game of all time. And one of the things that Dead by Daylight does is it'll have a major issue with a set of perks that completely breaks the game and makes the game unplayable for, say, killers. And survivors can use a set of perks to giga win the game, right? And then they'll release a DLC with a new killer that basically destroys that meta. And so every killer player will have to buy the new DLC. Is that a coincidence? Or is it coincidence, or is it beyond coincidence when it's happened 10 fucking times in a row? they do this on purpose. Like, straight up, in my opinion, they're fucking the player base in that way, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you get as far as I get, each new character is just a skin. Yeah, I mean, that's still, they still release broken characters on the regular. Like, apparently Vecna was the meta for a while after the D&D thing he released for it as well. Just the gameplay is too good. Well, I mean, the WoW token tried as well. I mean, they released the WoW token to try to fuck the player base as well, Watermalal. And like a lot of these games do it in certain ways. That's the thing. It definitely has its issues. It definitely has its issues. I'm not familiar with how the WoW token was doing. Okay, so basically the WoW token, Watermalal, adding the WoW token was Blizzard giving up on real money transactions and policing it, and they decided to basically screw over the player base by adding their own way to do real money transactions, as in buying the WoW token for real money. And gold equates player power because you can buy gear or buy, boosting services or whatever you want. Like, you can do all kinds of things with gold in World of Warcraft. So putting that in basically made World of Warcraft on some level very, very, very hard pay to win. Absolutely. That's what happened. How's Work Neon? Tell us all about it.
Those modes, there's been some criticism. Some people would say that those
are
going
back to Concord,
genre that you want to see. Other people would say, well, they're exactly what one would expect, and there's nothing here that's enough of a differentiator to actually make this game stand out in the market. Now,
like, look at cooperative shooters, guys. Look at cooperative shooters. They're a dime a dozen. We have like 20 like major cooperative shooters at various different levels. And what is one of the most popular cooperative shooters right now? The First Descendant. Why is it popular? It is completely free to play. It has pay to win in it, but because it is so free to play and the player barrier is so low, a lot of people give complete defensiveness and excuses to that pay to win mechanic, so it doesn't bother them. It bothers me, but it doesn't bother other people, which means the game is a success in that way. And the other thing is, the game has completely over-sexualized characters. And not only that, the gameplay is not dog shit. If the gameplay was dog shit, I was so ready to like just farm it for content. Talk about how the gameplay was just so bad. But the gameplay is actually very good. So remember those 3 things I told you? It got all 3 things on some level relatively right, or right enough that the majority of people will play it. And that is why that game is successful. Sex sells? Yeah, exactly. It's been the statement for time immemorial, and it's quite true. Now, a game that has sexy characters and stuff can fail. It absolutely can fail. But sometimes it can succeed. And this is it has I guess like more barriers of entry to not succeeding than it has to succeeding. It's like more likely to succeed. Yeah, Genshin. Yeah, exactly. Xenozone Zero. Yeah, exactly. Great examples, Watermalal, of my exact point. Correct.
Of course, the reason we're talking about this today is because people have actually played it. Now, there is praise for this game, right? The thing is, there is a core level of polish and competency that just exists. And that's because this is a game that is very obviously made by experienced developers who've done a lot of iteration themselves and basically know what they're doing. Now, the thing is, gameplay is only half of this story, because the other half is...
I would say it's 1/3. But yes, exactly. And the gameplay is good, apparently. And I've listened to some people talk about it that got into the beta, that paid for it on PlayStation and so on and so forth. And they told me the gameplay is good, but not like mind-blowingly good. It's not like the best thing since sliced bread, or it's not like, a game changer like PUBG went on the market and like destroyed everything in its path, right? It's none of those things. So if it doesn't have the other ingredients of, having cool characters or, sexy characters or something to draw you into the characters, and if it doesn't have, really good monetization where, it's not a $40 buy-in in order to play the game, then it's just not going to succeed. It's just not going to do it.
is headlines, vibes, and
Yeah,
price
no worries,
all
Legally.
wrapped up together. When people see a game that's giving them a truly new feeling fantasy, maybe a totally new type of gameplay, I think they might be willing to put up some money.
Exactly.
The problem is, though,
Exactly.
if it's $40 for what looks like, on first glance, another hero shooter that resembles Guardians of the Galaxy, that's not going to make people excited.
Right.
Polish, character gameplay, that's like here. It's actually well above fine, but emotionally, it's not.
What they should do, if Concord wants to succeed, it'll take some effort, but what they could do is very simple. Basically, reach out to all of the Overwatch audience and be like, hey guys, we're not going to lie. Overwatch fucked you. They said when they made Overwatch 2 that they were going to give you a true single-player experience. They lied. We'll do it. And they make a true single-player experience as well. That would bring people into Concord. That would make a $40 price tag worth it. It would take a lot of effort, but it's better than having the game be a complete failure. That's what I think they should do. If they really want to succeed, that is the template. It's not easy work. It's easier said than done, for sure. But you know, I'm not wrong. Concord is dead. DEI reasoning. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, look, you can have other ingredients that'll make a game succeed, Watermelon. That's what I'm saying. And this is a path forward. I don't think they'll do it. They've definitely made no bones about that. The fact that they won't, that they don't even think that there's an issue. They're that out of touch, Sony. So I don't think they'll do it. But if they wanted to succeed, this would be a form of success for sure. D4 is evolving. Yeah, D4 has had its growing pains, and they, you know, screwed over a lot of things. But they started to evolve and succeed in different ways as well. Yes, they had a huge giga turnaround.
Hitting. Helldivers 2 hit emotionally. And where we learn a lot is when the devs actually try to justify the $40 price tag. They say, right, you get 16 characters, 12 maps, and 6 modes. All the seasonal content is free, and yeah, there's some stuff to further personalize your characters that'll be coming in on a per-season basis. And that's the extra money spent. So you can totally see, if you just break it down...
Now, one thing is cool, the 6 modes. I like that they do that. 16 characters for a hero shooter, like a hero-based shooter, where every character is supposed to be different and unique and so on. That's not enough, man. Like, that's not enough variety at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry.
A bunch of line items. I think $40 for
Vita's
a whole bunch of game that you just keep on playing that's going to have a whole bunch
We're
of
doing
free
some
content.
discussion before
that is an
Zomboid.
Absolutely fantastic price. And hell, we've also got to assume that $40 also includes the PvE mode that they kind of teased at the end of the beta's credits. So, in theory, this is almost exactly as a game what audiences had been asking for if you just break it.
Watermelon says, in my opinion, the problem stays in the fact that they're not even trying both gameplay and game dev wise, because they're instead getting actual developers. They got... Oh, that's not true at all. No. The gameplay is decent in Concord because it has like a bunch of different veterans of very, very successful shooter games. But the problem is, you know, the other stuff. The gameplay is the best part of Concord without a doubt. It's just not mind-blowing. And it's just good. It's not like great. It's not, you know, game-breaking. It's not like, you know, something that'll take over the live service standpoint, which is what you need if you want to stand out in the hero shooter you know, space. Absolutely.
Down by features. It's almost like an anti-Overwatch 2. It's a very clear deal. Long-term support built from an initial success, extra monetization.
This is regular, yeah, exactly.
Cosmetics, that is to support a bunch of free content, but basically it's not going to be pulling a bunch of bullshit. It's not going to be the bizarre give me money please fiesta that Overwatch 2 has turned into. So why then is the $40 price tag?
And like, it's hard to change every character and make them sexy all of a sudden, right, guys? But that's not a path to success. The reason I brought up the single player is because that would be a path to success. That's why.
Just drawing comments, say, across the internet. Like even seeing the Concord Discord, people being concerned that the game costs money. And that then being countered by people saying, hey, look at Overwatch 2. That's free to play, and we really don't like that. And if you've been here for a while, you've probably seen
we're covering the PoE stuff.
$40 games, because it turns out that $40 seems to be a great price point for PvE, co-op, and AA titles. We've seen so many of them.
Yeah, Jiggle Physics will win the game.
Helldivers 2 told Sony that they could get a healthy audience with a $40 game. And yeah, there is concurrency piracy stuff with Helldivers that's being talked about now.
Well, I mean, but it was a success when it came out. And the thing is that Helldivers 2, like I said, it should be a template of how to start a good live service and not how to continue one. Because how they continued it has basically ruined the game or the future of the game. And the problem is that there are so many super fans of Helldivers 2 that have their head in the sand or up their ass, depending on how cruel you want to be to them. But, like, they just don't even think there's a problem. And as long as you think there's no problem, the game will never, ever, ever get better. Of course, Shumi, recommend me. PM it to me on Discord.
So let's not do that whole tangent here. What I'd say is that Helldivers fundamentally is, it's obviously a PvE game, right? And it's one that gives you an experience that you cannot really get elsewhere at that level of fidelity and scale. It felt new and different. I mean, yes, obviously there's very heavy inspirations with, with Starship Troopers. Point is, it didn't really feel like the Starship Troopers in video games itch had been scratched by something quite as well as Helldivers was able
exactly.
to do.
It was perfect when it came out.
Absolutely pitch perfect. It's that kind of thing, don't market your game, start a cult. And in a way,
Deep Rock Galactic, Deep Rock Galactic is a great indie example.
Watermelon. Designed to basically foster a sort of collective consciousness.
Deep Rock is hilarious. I love Deep Rock.
Little details of you being able to call your ship the Stallion of Freedom at the very start of the game. And so it's that novelty and that culture that gave Helldivers 2 so much of its perceived value. And that's where I think with Concord, they're having some struggles in how they're communicating this game to people, because people do not just think of a game in terms of quantity of content, list of features. No, they think about it
Arngrim, welcome, my friend.
That is why games can sell loads of copies on day one, because the perceived value of something when it's new is literally higher, because a lot of people are willing to pay more money, even though they know within 2 months it will be discounted quite a bit. So that is to say, in a way, when it comes to pricing, perception is reality, and what they're struggling with here is perception. And the perception very much is that paid PvP games just fail in the market. Almost simple as. I think quite well put by this meme. But basically, right, Newzoo put together the most played games in 2023 by monthly active.
You know what's funny about this list, by the way, guys? You know what's funny about this list? This list does not include all of the games that didn't even release. I'm talking about games like Hyenas, where, Sega paid in and almost ruined their other games that are successful, like Total Warhammer. They paid in about like $250 million in order to make Hyenas. And Hyenas was so bad, it didn't even release. It was an abject failure on every single level. Like, that's stunningly bad. And so this list is not even exhaustive of games that didn't even release and they were failures before launch, which is insane.
Together the most played games in 2023 by monthly active users.
Exactly. Polar Cat. They refuse to see the problem.
Games that are here, and when you do that, you find Fortnite, Counter-Strike 2, Warzone, Apex, Valorant, and
let's see. Okay, so let's look at just this market. Okay, PC, because I'm a PC player. Let's see what succeeds on all of these things. Let's see what succeeds on all these things. So Fortnite, already talked at length about Fortnite. Roblox does very much the same things correct as Fortnite. It's a very, very low barrier of entry. It, goes directly to marketing towards Zoomers. It has many, many different game modes of, billions of different ways to play the game. So gameplay is top notch for that. Also, it doesn't screw over the player base constantly. Minecraft, same thing. Counter-Strike 2 and CSGO. Now, it screws the player base over, but the player base is so addicted to gambling that they're into it. So in some ways, it actually succeeded in fucking the player base so hard that now they're used to having the giant dildo of microtransactions and loot boxes and gambling, literal gamba, fucking their ass constantly. So, that's why Counter-Strike Go is so popular, because they want to do, they want to do all that stuff. Sims 4. Well, we know all about Sims 4. EA has fucked over every Sims fan. And but the gameplay is good enough that people have loved the game and absolutely love the game. I love Sims 4. I just refuse to buy DLC. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2-3. Oh my god, man. Call of Duty fans are such shit-eaters that they will literally every single time a new bad Call of Duty comes out, they'd be like, "Are we back, boys? Are we back? Oh my god, are we back?" and they're literally getting screwed over by Activision. They're literally getting bent over and fucked by Activision. League of Legends, talked directly about League of Legends. Valorant, we talked about how that one succeeds with e-daters and so on and so forth, and it really caters to them on purpose. Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 is direct pay to win with buying money in the game. And yet, the gameplay is good enough that it succeeds. Nothing succeeds like really, really strikingly good gameplay. And the RP levels of Grand Theft Auto 5 are something that no other game can truly match, which is what's kept Grand Theft Auto 5's online experience alive in the past 5 years. Not only alive, but also growing. Also growing. RP, that's exactly what I'm saying. Rocket League, I know nothing about Rocket League. So that one I cannot speak to. I have no clue about Rocket League. And Apex, watch Apex fall off the top 10 list just because I did make the video of how Apex is screwing over all of its players with the new battle passes and so on and so forth. Their monetization is going down the fucking trash. Same with Rainbow Six Siege. The changes, the negative changes that have happened in both games will absolutely affect it even probably being even in the top 10. I have no doubts.
And even Rocket League, all of which are free-to-play games. Now, there is Rainbow Six Siege and COD's multiplayer. Obviously, though, COD is a unique case, right? Definitely a unique case.
Very
and
unique
Rainbow
case.
Six Siege, I mean, that thing has been so often on discounts that basically mean it may as well be free. You'll also see that those games are at least 6 to 7 years old, which means a deeply, deeply entrenched audience. How the hell is a new game are you going to change those patterns of behavior, those habits? I mean, have you ever tried to change a habit before, even when it makes a lot of sense to change it? It's bloody hard. You'll also notice that while there's loads of shooters there, they all feel pretty damn different. Having another hero shooter, another iteration of something that people basically already have and have been able to access for a long time.
Polar Cat, I think what Watermelon is talking about are like people, like the community being racist for Call of Duty, which is true. Like, I mean, it's easily one of the worst communities of all time. Am I right, Watermelon? You're talking about the communities? Because, like, the community is horrifically racist. Yeah.
That is going to be a pretty hard thing.
Yeah, it's a community.
With Concord, it's not going to expand the FPS audience. A game like Overwatch was able to expand the FPS audience, but again, it was new. It was 2016. Helldivers probably did do a little bit of audience expansion, but that's because it was so deeply, well, mimetic and unique feeling. It felt like a cultural event that you couldn't miss. So yeah, people would be slurped in by the gravity of that. If you're Concord, it is by default a humongous uphill battle. How do you cut through? Well,
look at him. Uphill battle. Look, Bellular is so smart, man. I just talked about the uphill battle for like, what is it? Almost an hour now. He's so smart. Always. Bellular is so smart. He agrees with me. He's so smart.
The hero's direction looks like Overwatch from a glance.
He actually is really
format
smart. That's why I love
Bellular.
Bellular.
Like another hero shooter. Now they're trying to cook with some competitive friendly things. They're trying to change up the hero shooter model by not having ults and doing the whole thing with passives, which, let's be real, a lot of players will probably not like. And there's going to be weekly story. But what is weekly story? Is it just a new cinematic every week? I mean, look. The facial animations are impressive, and actually, the dialogue in those scenes, pretty sharp. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
The animation of the trailer and everything like that, that was the best part of the entire thing. Everything was great until the gameplay showed up. Like I said, if this game was a single-player game, and, you know, it was basically like a Guardians of the Galaxy style, like, you know, you're going around doing heists across the galaxy and shit like that, I would pay $40 for that game. Not for this game. But for that game, that this should have been.
That's not what I'm paying $40 for at all. And that is to say that value is in the eyes of the beholder, and it's very much an emotional experience and a cultural experience. That is one of the things that makes us assign value to a game. Helldivers, you know what? See all that? All those words I just said? Let's just shorten it and call it the sauce.
The sauce, yeah.
Helldivers 2 has got the sauce.
Previously,
when you look at this game and you reductively think, oh, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy Overwatch. I don't.
And you know, going with the analog, sometimes the sauce gets overcooked, and even a good sauce can be ruined when it gets burned. That's the thing. That it's true. It did have the sauce, and it looks like the sauce got burned a little bit.
Well, point is, it does not immediately
That's the problem.
have the sauce. Now, PlayStation do believe that there is an audience for this game. The early previews for the game have not been bad. Sony basically seemed to enjoy the game so much when they were doing some playtesting sessions that they decided to pick up the damn studio. And so that means there likely will be a cohort of players that will buy this game and probably enjoy this game. Question is, will there be enough of them
will
to
it be enough?
make a big difference for Sony?
Exactly.
And that's what the Battlestar fan in me says. All of this has happened before and all of this will happen again because the idea of paid PvP and Sony has happened before and it's not went well. Do you remember the amazing title Destruction All-Stars? It was very bizarre.
Nope.
It's a PvP
Never heard of this.
combat game that was unveiled with the PS5 itself, set to launch November 2020. It was made by Lucid Studios. That's a mixture
looks
of
cool.
people from Blur and from Project Gotham. That's like big names.
This actually looks really cool. I don't know why I never heard of this game. I mean, obviously it was like 5 years ago almost now. But like, wow, this actually looks quite cool.
Guess what though? It was going to be $70.
$70? Okay, it's not that
live
cool.
service with paid cosmetics. Now that seemed.
Look.
Project Gotham. That's
Hold on.
Big names. Guess what though? It was going to be $70. $70, and then of course live.
How are they going to sell a skin with this? If you're a live service game and you're trying to sell skins, this is not what you're going for. Like, it's just, I'm just saying, I'm just stating facts. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you're trying to sell a skin like this. Like, you really are. What is the monetization going to be for this? There's no way. There's no way.
Live service with paid cosmetics. Now that
this character is completely uninspired. There's nothing cool about this character. Why would you ever buy a skin for this character?
That seemed to be a
$70 you want the skins unlockable
idea.
for free?
So what they did is
but the skins are not unlockable for free for any of these games, Kawhi. That's my point. It's not unlockable for any of these. You have to buy them.
The old PlayStation special of, no, let's just make it entirely free to users to download if they have got PS Plus. They've done it with Rocket League, they did it with Fall Guys. So, with that in mind, how well did this multiplayer title with a brand new IP do? Well, what we can do is take a look
and
at
the gameplay looks cool. Like, that's the thing. It's so sad.
Downloads until the 11th of June 2023.
Oof.
That, of course, from the hack that happened last year. And
revenue 449,000. And this game probably costed at least 40 million, 50 million to make. That is a loss of $40 million, guys. It made less than $1 million. That's so fucking bad. Like, that is so bad, bro.
You'll see that this game is ranked 323 in terms of digital revenue, and even worse, 395.
So sad to see Ape Escape on this list, man. Ape Escape is one of the best games on PlayStation 1. It's so sad, bro.
In terms of downloads.
Oh, Kawhi, I agree with you. I agree with you.
20,000 downloads total. That kind of shocked me. I just thought so many people had PS Plus and would probably download something.
Right.
That would have been a larger number, but there you go. Very much not the case. And I suppose that's the risk of PvP games. They feel inherently so much more winner takes all than PvE. Because in a PvE game, you can pop in, you can have your fill of game while it's still new and fresh, you can leave happy. And if the player counts absolutely tank, well, you know what? You can still fire that up with your mates who have got the game and you can play some of it later. But with
Sony only needs to do two things here. Release Bloodborne with upgraded graphics on Steam and PS5. Twisted Metal Remake is for PC and PS5. Joey, do you know why Bloodborne? I solved this mystery a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you were here. Do you know why Bloodborne doesn't have a PC release? Do you know why? Because Sony is the publisher. Sony published the original Bloodborne. And that is why they refuse to put it on PC or Steam or anything like that. They're holding it so close to their chest that they will not let anyone go near it. And I bet you, like, the higher-ups at From Software are, like, losing their shit because they want to make a new Bloodborne. Because apparently, I mean, I never really played more than a couple hours, but I knew, even in, like, 3 hours of gameplay of Bloodborne, that game really had the sauce. Like, it was really cool. It was, like, some of From Software's best work. And, yeah, it's very sad.
PvP, people treat that as if you are investing your time in the right sport. And I know that might sound a little bit ridiculous, and not everybody is trying to be a Valorant E person. But
Right.
But. That's likely why the $40 thing here is scary. Because
yes,
this is a game targeted at FPS fans.
$40 for this is insane.
It's a new game. Takes a long time to learn a whole bunch of new maps, to learn a whole bunch of new abilities and all of that stuff. Am I going to bother, or will I just...
And also, the game devs, when they were talking about the gameplay, and this was at the PlayStation announcement for it, they were talking about like how it's going to be like super fucking complicated. It was going to like have physics in it that are going to be really, really cool. And that sounds great, but it also sounds really complicated. It's going to have like fighting game mechanics and stuff for like the flips and all that. And it's like, I'm thinking, I'm watching this and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it looks like the skill cap is going to be like giga high. Like, who are they catering to? The top 1% of FPS players? You're cutting yourself off at the knees if you're going to try to just cater to that group of people. Like, that's not a viable player base. The top 1% of, like, you know, Diamond Plus players of all of the other shooter games. That's not enough people to enjoy the game. You got to make a game as simpler as possible in order to truly enjoy it. And like I said, X Defiant is a prime example of that. X Defiant's gameplay is so simple, I can play it. And if I can play it, that means anyone can play it, because I'm dog shit at FPS games.
See if this game has actually got legs. That's the thing. It didn't matter that I enjoyed my time playing.
I'm going to look up X Defiant's
people played Lawbreakers for Lawbreakers
players
to,
right now.
Basically continue existing. And so with Concord, that's why even though it looks really polished, at the end of the day, the vibes are just off, and the Amorphous thing that is the sauce is just not in this game.
Doesn't have the sauce, man. Doesn't have the sauce.
The funny thing, though, is we may be having this discussion again next year, and that's because of Fair Game Dollar. I think it's probably supposed to be Fair Games, but hey, they called it Fair Game Dollar, so I'm just going to call it Fair Game Dollar. Now, it's a game that's coming from Haven Studios. That's a studio founded by Jade Raymond, and it's a game that, compared to Concord, I actually think could have a little bit more sauce, and that's because it's a competitive heist game. Few games are doing that. And
interesting.
You do have the likes of, say, a Payday 3 that is in the heist video game space, but Payday 3 kind of struggling. Payday 2 getting a little bit old in the tooth. Like,
kind of struggling. Payday 3 is fucking dog shit. Like, it's literally one of the worst games ever made. Payday 3 is backwards in every single way, shape, and form compared to Payday 2. And it's like not even close. And it's like not even close, man. Holy shit.
I think it's just obvious to most of us that that's just a game that could just have legs in today's market in a way that it really does not look like Concord can. Now, that being said, there is one way that Concord can change up this narrative, and that is the open beta, because that's where we're going to see some true Steam numbers. With the closed beta, the Steam numbers looked awful, and that reflected minuscule pre-orders. Obviously, why are you going to pre-order a PvP game when you don't really know if it's going to have legs and take off? That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No, a game like this is not one that's going to be getting amazing pre-orders like Overwatch was, because it was big and new and amazing and whatever, people hadn't seen it before. No, the thing that can change the story for this is if it actually blows away mass audiences when they can do
and I don't think this will happen.
Open beta. And if that open beta then gives lots of really good numbers that then translate into positive headlines. But of course, that's not enough. It's not enough. Even if you are a game like that, like, say, The Finals, that had strong public tests, that is free to play, that can, you just go, you can play it almost right now, depending on your internet. But even though it is sitting there with, between like 15, 20,000 players, maybe 25,000 players, decently consistently, even though that's the case, guess what? It still fell below its...
And 15 to 20,000 is viable for a live service game. If it's consistent. If it's not, no longer falling.
Its company's expectations. And now people are probably worried about the finals. And even with that, the finals is a game that I think had quite a bit more cut.
Finals was super cool.
Because
I enjoyed the finals.
You saw the pretty damn impressive destruction tech. People remembered that from the likes of Battlefield. They saw this fast-paced game that looks really fun. So it had a lot going for it. And even it has struggled, even though it was free to play. That just means that I think, man, Concord is going to have an extremely rough time. In a way that's not necessarily the fault of the game. It's just,
this feels like a worse Overwatch with bright colors. Yeah, basically exactly correct.
It is what it is.
Worse Overwatch.
The wrong thing for 2024.
And that's saying something, because Overwatch is dog.
A hell of a lot, if that's the thing that you've been working on. One of the sad facts is often it's not about how hard you row. It's about what boat you're in. And if you're not in a winning boat, well, there's only so much you can do to change that.
And it's also not only just about the boat. I mean, continuing this analog, it's about who's driving the boat. Is the captain of the boat an absolute idiot that's going to run into a glacier? I mean, that basically describes Sony for running live service games. They screw up so many live service games on the regular for this exact way.
Is one of life's more
just say
lessons. So there you go. On that dismal note, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back.
I did, Bellylar. You did a great job. Guys, give this video a like, give it a sub, share it with your friends. Bellylar is an absolute Giga Chad, and I mean this video as in the one that I'm watching. But if you like this discussion, be sure to share it with your friends. Give this one a like and a sub. Tell me what your part of this discussion you like the most. Do you think that Concord will be a success? Which game do you think that's competing with this is better than Concord? Let me know. And in the comments below, I'd love to see what you guys think. There we go. Thank you for chat for enjoying the discussion as well. Yeah, I mean, like, people are concerned about it on Reddit and everything as well. Like, $40 price tag. That's what I've been seeing a lot of these. You know, people worried about it becoming free to play because of, you know, the price of skins. I don't think these people realize that they're going to have skin prices no matter what. Yeah, this was the meme that Bellylar found, actually. And this doesn't even count all the games that failed. Oh my god, it's brutal, man. It is absolutely brutal. The price may be a deal maker. $40 for this game is insane. It will never be a success at $40 price tag. For sure. Oh yeah, Bellylar is great. Absolutely. I have never seen a Bellylar video I dislike. Like, straight up. I won't agree with everything he says, and I'll talk about the disagreements. I've even disagreed with some of his points here. But I've never watched a video of Bellylar's that I dislike straight up. He's a great creator, and he's one of the OGs. I've been watching Bellylar before, when he was just doing World of Warcraft content. Like, way, way back years ago.